Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
We are electrified, and together we've done it. Together we are putting the win in Windsor, and together we are delivering results for Canada, for Ontario, and for the City of Windsor.
We're here to be available for the students, for the staff. We're a resource, right?
Well, I've always enjoyed nature. You know, I've had pigeons ever since I can remember. As a matter of fact, I got in the pigeon bug, as we call it, when I was in grade school.
Thanks for joining us. Automaker Stellantis continues to charge Canada's auto industry forward, today announcing multi-billion-dollar investments for Ontario plants. And the CBC's Chris Ensing was at the announcement today and joins us live now in studio. Chris, what were the highlights?
Well, Kat, very much another charged-up announcement for the City of Windsor, and the mayor is saying that this once again cements Windsor as the auto capital of Canada. Windsor's minivan plant is going fully electric.
Once again, the industry is evolving, and we're transitioning to an electrified future.
Stellantis will spend $3.6 billion here and in Brampton. It allows both lines to build fully electric vehicles powered by batteries built by the automaker's recently announced joint venture with LG Energy Solutions, a $5 billion plant in Windsor. Today's investment promises to return both plants to a 3-shift operation once retooled in 2024. Until today, Brampton's 3,000 employees had nothing to build beyond next year.
It's been an amazing first 100 years. We're super proud to have the foundation laid for the next 100.
That foundation, built with an additional $1 billion pitched in by taxpayers, the provincial and federal government investing nearly $500 million each. The Prime Minister joking about the calls he gets from Federal Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, François-Philippe Champagne, today.
I sort of shudder every time my phone rings and it's François-Philippe, because I know there's another deal coming down the pipe that's going to, yes, boss, it'll cost us a little bit of money, but it's going to bring in so many more jobs and much more money that it's a good thing.
This announcement promises a new research and development facility in Windsor, the first in North America for the company. It brings 650 high-paying engineer jobs.
What today confirms is Windsor's place at the heart of the automotive renaissance is clear.
There's one question remaining. What exactly will Windsor and Brampton build?
There's a time and a place. Today is not that time or place when we're going to share what those models are.
Stewart expects to say more in the coming months, ensuring Ontario's year of auto announcements rolls on. And just to wrap up the year that we've had so far for folks counting at home, you've got just over 3,000 jobs at that battery plant, 1,800 jobs with the third shift coming back, and then you have the 650 as well. So the pickup from the auto industry in this year, the promises that have been made, staggering when you consider the roller coaster that it's been over the last years. Kat?
Absolutely, Chris. Thanks for this. CBC's Chris Ensing live in studio for us tonight. $1 a ride. That is the latest promise from the Ontario Liberal Party, just days before the provincial election campaign officially kicks off. The reduced fare would apply to public transit everywhere in Ontario. Lisa Shing has the details.
We're going to deliver Buck a Ride province-wide.
Referencing the now infamous PC promise to offer Buck a beer 4 years ago, the Liberals are offering $1 per ride across all transit in the province until 2024 as a way to address affordability. They say it'll take 400,000 cars off the road each day.
We want to give Ontarians real pocketbook relief, not in 5 years, not in 10, but right away. Pocketbook relief for something that they value.
The Liberal plan would also deliver $40 monthly passes and make rides free for veterans. It'll cost about $700 million in the first year and $1 billion the following year. Sounds good to some riders.
I travel too often to downtown from Scarborough, so it's cheaper if it is going to be $1.
I mean, it sounds amazing. It should be longer than until 2024.
But not everyone is on board.
It was like the Buck a beer. Like, here's this immediate gratification thing for you, so that you'll ignore this other stuff that's going on that's actually a lot more important.
Well, so interestingly, the Liberals are advertising this one as Buck a Ride.
No way. I mean, I guess it works. I don't know. Politics is awful.
I think transit prices are just going to go up, and they need to make money for the government, and that's probably not a good thing to cut because people need to take transit, so they need to pay for it.
So clearly not enough to sway your vote.
No, definitely not.
The NDP has a different plan for transit.
As we take the burden off of municipalities by paying half of the operating costs, that gives them a lot of room to address the cost of fares.
The Green Party is also promising to take on half of the transit operating costs permanently and cut fares in half for 3 months. The Liberals are promising $375 million in operating costs for municipalities. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
Some local students will be seeing more new faces in their classrooms. 3 Windsor police officers are back at local Catholic schools in the city. It's part of a resource program meant to build trust in the community, but was put on hold because of the pandemic. CBC's Ashta Shetty was at Assumption College Catholic High School today to learn more about its return.
We're not searching, we're not shaking down kids. That's not what we're here for. We're here as a presence, and we're here as a resource.
School resource officers back in class. They're hoping their presence will help students feel safer and build more trust with vulnerable students.
Kids want to see representation of them in our force, right? That's important because, you know, for me as a woman, to see female police officers, that was, you know, I didn't see a lot of that when I was growing up, right? So it is important, and I can understand that. So we're working on that as a department, and I think that you'll see much more, a lot more representation of the community that we serve coming forward.
Student McKenna Murphy is in her final year at Assumption College Catholic High. She says having officers in the school makes her feel safer.
And just that welcoming environment and ability to, you know, talk to people and communicate. Safety is a big one. A simple word, but means a lot, and it carries a heavy weight in the sense that, like, in order to do other things, you kind of need that reassurance and guidance. Guidance is a big one.
Student Anu Banjo agrees. He enjoys bumping into the officers for a friendly chat now and then, adding that it's a good chance to get to know police officers.
I think when they come here, they're very friendly. I know when people see police officers, there's generally a sense of fear, even though you haven't done anything wrong, but they're very cordial in their interactions with us, and they always make sure to say that whenever we need anything, they're always available to help.
Part of the school resource officer's job is to spread awareness about bullying. They also focus on educating students about safe consumption of alcohol and drugs. Catholic school staff also collaborate with resource officers to improve their emergency and lockdown drills. Ashta Shetty, CBC News, Windsor.
In what may be a rare coordination between 2 warring sides in nearly 10 weeks of fighting, an evacuation of civilians is underway from the last remaining Ukrainian stronghold in Mariupol. More than 100 people, including elderly women and mothers with children, were allowed to leave the besieged Azovstal steel mill over the weekend. The UN and Red Cross are carrying out the difficult operation after high-level negotiations with Russia and Ukraine. It's the first group that's been evacuated and taken to a Ukrainian-controlled city about 230 kilometers to the northwest. About 1,000 civilians and roughly twice that many Ukrainian soldiers are believed to be trapped in the plant. The facility has been surrounded by Russian forces for weeks now, with no outside access to food, water, or medicine. And Israel is calling a comment by Russia's foreign minister unforgivable. In an interview with an Italian news channel, Sergei Lavrov said Adolf Hitler had Jewish origins. He went on to claim that some of the biggest anti-Semites were Jewish. The Kremlin appears to be trying again to justify the pretext that it is fighting Nazism in Ukraine, even though that country's leader is Jewish. Journalist Iris Mackler has more from Jerusalem.
По-моему, у Гитлера тоже была еврейская кровь.
There's a mixture of fury and incredulity here. We heard from Israel's foreign minister, who is himself the son of a Holocaust survivor, and he said this was outrageous, it was untrue, and it was unforgivable. He said that, in fact, Ukrainians are not Nazis. Only the Nazis were Nazis, and only the Nazis planned and carried out the extermination of the Jews. He's calling in Russia's ambassador here and demanding a retraction and an apology. Other cabinet ministers have come out in support of this stand, and they say it's delusional and actually just a pretext or a justification for Russia's own actions in Ukraine.
The statement of Foreign Minister Lavrov is false, is despicable, and is deemed of the strongest condemnation. He's basically engaging in Holocaust inversion, making the victims of the Holocaust the perpetrators, and that is inexcusable. And the Holocaust should be kept completely apart from propaganda in this war.
Canada also came up because Lavrov went on to say that the United States, and especially Canada, was involved in training neo-Nazi units in the Ukrainian army. It's all part of the same rhetoric, all part of the same justification for this military action that began on February the 24th and is still ongoing. Or some might say it's a pretext for this military action, an attempt to justify Russia's own actions inside Ukraine.
Iris Makla, CBC News, Jerusalem.
For a second day, long lineups stretched in front of the Montreal Canadiens arena as fans paid their final respects to the legendary Guy Lafleur.
I grew up with them. I grew up with those guys. They made us proud.
The funeral is tomorrow, but for many, this was the last goodbye. Today's visitation ended this afternoon. The lineups were just as breathtaking yesterday. Beside Lafleur's casket were the NHL player trophies he'd won, and behind, the trophy he won 5 times with his teammates, the Stanley Cup. Tomorrow will be a national funeral. An artist at the Art Gallery of Windsor wants you to send her snail mail. The gallery's emerging artist in residence has created an interactive exhibit built entirely from community art, and she's asking that the pieces reflect the person's relationship with technology. Our Jennifer LaGrassa went to go check out the installation.
It's definitely been very interesting because I have gotten a lot of questions. What even is mail art? Which really it's anything that you can put a stamp on that can be processed in the mail and ends up having some sort of kind of like evidence that it has traveled in physical space. Over the last couple of years, I've been really inspired by community art projects that don't necessarily rely on the location, but have something to do with connecting everyone no matter where they are. When I first started, I got a lot of collage work, and then like a couple of weeks ago, I got lots of digital prints. Different countries have different processes too, so like we got one from Germany that has all these really unique stamps on it. One submission says, technology has stripped from us the intimacy of received handwriting, personally addressed envelopes in the mail. The anticipation and recognition of a loved one's script cannot be compared to a digital label or ping of a text message, even if the content may be exactly the same.
That's a cool idea, and that exhibit runs until the end of the month, so you have some time to check it out. A live look outside there. We do have showers in the forecast, and Colette will be here right after the break with a close look at what we can expect this week. Stay with us. Welcome back. The message from environmentalists is clear. Everyone can make a difference in making smart choices to help protect the planet. And that includes exploring energy choices. The CBC's Fiona Odlum looks at a Saskatchewan community that's on a sustainable path.
Tucked away in the Qu'Appelle Valley lies one of Saskatchewan's most environmentally progressive towns. About 1,800 people call Lumsden home. Brian Matheson is the town's mayor. He says he isn't an environmentalist.
We felt renewable energy was certainly a great way for us to use what's here and reduce the cost for our residents and do what's right for the world.
In 2017, the town began its transition to solar with the River Park Community Building. Matheson says the project brought on some initial sticker shock.
Generally speaking, I think people were receptive, not everyone, but for the most part, and especially the young people. As we grew younger, there was more acceptance and more readiness to buy into what we're doing.
The River Park panels produce roughly 15,000 kilowatts of energy a year, which translates into more than half of its annual power usage, saving the town $21,000 in its lifetime. In 2020, the recycling depot and the sewage lift stations went solar as well.
Cameras are ready, but they're not too bad.
But then came the town's biggest project, the wastewater treatment facility. Town Councillor Rhonda Phillips says it was badly out of date and not environmentally sound.
All of a sudden we had an excess water problem and we had infiltration into our sewer tiles, and so it was time to address the issue.
The town received more than $15 million in provincial and federal funding, which helped cover the $21 million price tag of installing a solar array the size of 2 football fields. Now, the processing system cleaning the wastewater is so environmentally safe, it's helping to improve local waterways.
Our levels of contamination in our effluent are in some cases lower than what is in the river. So in fact, our sewage can ameliorate the contamination that is already in the river.
Around Saskatchewan, solar has been catching on. First Nations have been active in adding solar to their communities, with major projects completed in Cowessess and Muscadet. Mayor Matheson appreciates change is hard, and he has some advice to his fellow Saskatchewan mayors.
You don't have to do it today, but plan to do it tomorrow.
Fiona Odlum, CBC News, Lumsden.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Colette, we took a look at the live cam a few moments ago, and it's looking a little gray, not too nice out there right now.
Yeah, it's been a little bit gloomy. I know it's true. There were some times where there were some sunny breaks in there, so that was kind of nice. But we're not going to have a lot of that over the next 24, 36 hours, and then we're going to see a great deal of improvement. So we do have some morning rain on the way for tomorrow. It becomes more scattered into the afternoon. However, with any sunny breaks in there, that's only going to enhance the risk of getting into actually a few thunderstorms popping up into the afternoon. So although it may be more scattered locally, there will be some heavier downpours there, but it's a steadier rain in the morning hours. Improvements on Wednesday, so clouds early, and they're going to peel away really quickly. Wait till I show you that on the model imagery. It's quite impressive. And then by Thursday, I mean, the temperatures aren't bad into Wednesday, but really by Thursday, we're going to get a nice little spike into the upper teens there in terms of what we'll be seeing. These are our current readings. Not much we're seeing between 10 to 13 from Kitchener to Windsor, so not really anything dramatic there. And still, it's not always picked up here on the radar imagery with the satellite here, but some of that drizzle or a little bit of mist at times is kind of mixed in here. Primarily, that has moved off to the east, however. There will be some fog eastward as well, developing again towards the overnight hours and tomorrow morning. I think we'll do a little bit better as the winds are going to be picking up a bit towards morning, not terribly strong, but enough that I'm hoping it will give us some mixing of the atmosphere. We don't get that fog development into southwestern Ontario. A few areas, I can't rule it out. Then just let's look ahead here as we go through the overnight hours. Pretty quiet conditions, some breaks at times. Towards London, you'll have a cooler temperature because you'll kind of be into that break in the cloud cover for a longer period, so lose any of the daytime heating. But here we are stopped at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. See that rain. At times it'll be heavy. Breaks into the afternoon, but got some thunderstorm development popping back in, not only into the later afternoon, but into the evening hours as well. And now here we are Wednesday morning. Remember, I said it was impressive. It's impressive to me. I'm a meteorologist. Just watch how those skies are going to clear through the day on Wednesday. So we get into sunshine. We'll see temperatures warming up a bit, but like I said, it gets even better as we get going through the week. Tonight, we've got mild readings other than what I mentioned there for you into London. And then just having a look in terms of that rain, the steadier rain, most of this 15 to 25 millimeters that we pick up in the first part of the day tomorrow, but locally we could have some of those heavier amounts with thunderstorms. Wednesday, those improving skies. Thursday, that heat coming back. Do not get too worried about what you're seeing here for Friday, Saturday. One, because it's still a several days out, and two, because we're not seeing complete model agreement here, so I'm not ready to commit to that. And even so, at this point, it's only a 30% chance on both of those days there, Katerina.
I'm glad you said that because I looked at it and I was like, more rain?
Yeah, we always want to look at next weekend, and it doesn't matter. It's Monday, right? What's
You're right.
happening?
Okay.
Don't worry. Nobody panic.
Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we're going to tell you about something called pigeon racing. Stay with us.
home.
Pandemic travel restrictions eased dramatically in New Zealand today, with people from more than 50 countries allowed to enter for the first time since 2020. Traditional Maori performers were part of Auckland Airport's welcome, and there were many emotional reunions. Travel from Australia reopened 3 weeks ago. 90,000 flights have been booked since the moves were announced. Vaccination and testing are required. Travelers from China and India are among those still prohibited. The Windsor Racing Pigeon Club kicks off its 2022 season next weekend. Using their natural homing abilities, the birds find their way home from as far away as 600 kilometers when competing in the races. CBC's Jacob Barker spoke with a man who has been racing pigeons for almost 40 years.
The Windsor Racing Pigeon Club has been in existence since 1927. I joined the club in 1984. There is quite an association of racing pigeons in southern Ontario. We belong to the Southwestern Ontario Association of Racing Pigeon Clubs. Stouffville, Peterborough, Matic, Highway 738, and Smiths Falls. So you can see from 150 kilometers to the longest is 633 kilometers. From there to here, to home.
Every time they fly back to
Every
Windsor?
time they fly back to Windsor. We take our birds basically to London on Friday nights. They get put on a trailer with 5 or 6 other clubs, and they're taken to the release point, and they're released the next morning as early as possible, and they make their way home. Okay, this one here, this is the electronic band. Okay. All right, and this side here, this is his permanent leg band. So this one is this is a 2000, and his number is 134. And it's CU, which is Canadian Union 2000, 2020. Corner Loft is the name of my loft, and his number is 134. So that number is registered to me, and that's how, if they get lost, they can be traced back.
Why do you do this?
Well, I've always enjoyed nature. You know, I've had pigeons ever since I can remember. As a matter of fact, I got in the pigeon bug, as we call it, when I was in grade school. Rummaging through the library, I found a book on pigeon racing. I read it 2 or 3 times, and ever since then, I just wanted to join a club, right? And I had different types of pigeons, not always racing pigeons. Come on, come on, come on. I must have had them since I was 11, 12 years old, you know. And at that time, when I was in grade school, there was half of the guys in the class had pigeons. It was just the way it is. We could tramp up and down the alleys in those days, and every third house seemed to have a pigeon loft, you know.
Okay.
But, you know, it's kind of gone by the wayside, but we still love it. And we keep it going as long as we can.
I'd never heard of pigeon racing before, so there you have it. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. And of course, we're also on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.